Dredgen Yor stood at the hollowed vault. Thorn's shadow curled over Rose's lifeless form. Shin Malphur's blade pierced the void between them, its light burning blue-white as Yor's scream fractured. Hive Dredgen Yor crafted stood at the steel-hollowed seath, a coffin for a stolen god. The weapon's glow deepened. Then splintered Thorn's thorns raking its heart. A myth was born in the shatter. The blade of law was no weapon. It was a persona Hive-forged vault for a light entity the winnower called unreal. Its glow didn't slay Thorn, it echoed the universe's cruel math, only the unkillable is real. Thorn, a curse, is killable, the blade shattered not from weakness but truth. Malphur's sword didn't answer Thorn. It completed the winnower's riddle, a god's shadow, wielded by a man who knew his role, to be a pawn. The Golden Age's forge was not fire but light. The Traveler's touch birthed Rasputin's code, its algorithms shaping the blade of law, a relic of order, sharpened by warmind calculus. Yet the Hive saw not a weapon, but a cage. They drowned its edges in voyageless, reforging it to bind a light-bound entity, the witness's shadow, a remnant of the first winnowing. This was no mere sword, it was a ledger of extinction, its glow not divine blessing but a prisoner's breath. When Shin Malphur raised it against Thorn, the blade fractured, not from weakness but fulfillment. The entity within had waited epochs to shatter its bars, to spill light and void into the equation the winnowers left unsolved. The answer to Thorn was never about Thorn. It was about the witness's awakening or reckoning for the Traveler's first failure, the first spark of a light that should never have been. The Hive did not steal the blade, they completed its design, a prison, a trigger. A scar on the cosmos where two truths collided, the light's first birth and the dark that followed. What flickers now in Malphur's ashes is not victory, it is an omen. The blade of law did not seek to slay Thorn, it was a vault, a cage of whispered geometry. The Hive did not wield light, they wove it into chains. Their creed, only that which cannot be killed is real, was not a weapon, it was a theorem. A prison for a primordial spark of the light, bound to the winnower's answer. When the sword met Thorn, its glow was not defiance, it was suffocation. The entity within trembled, trapped between Hive logic and the chaos of the taken. The blade's purpose was to starve the light's fragment, to force it into stillness. But Thorn is not a thing to be starved. It is a wound that bleeds backward. The shattering was not defeat. It was revelation. The light, once caged, fractured the Hive's equation. What they called answer was a riddle the cosmos could not solve. The paradox exposed a truth. The light's power lies in its vulnerability. It bends not to violence but to the witness's gaze. To the question of asterisk why asterisk, the winnower's verse shaped stars, the blade of law shaped dust. Its failure etched a new law into the void. Containment is illusion. Only truth that dies is real, and Shin Malphur's ashes. They whisper the first syllable of the next. The blade's glow was no triumph. It was a shiver-cold light bleeding through Shin Malphur's gauntlet as he drove the last word into Dredgen Yor's throat. The Hive King's scream became a hymn, a fractured psalm that Rose of the Dawn once hummed. She clung to his arm, her veins already twisting into Thorn's script. The Lightbearer's blade did not sever corruption. It bound it, a noose of radiance, tightening as Yor's final breath seeped into its edge. Cabal scavengers found the weapon buried in the dead god's spine. They called it asterisk Dreadnought's tongue asterisk, a relic to crack open prisoner vaults, but the Hive came first. A queen's vindicator, her face a mosaic of stolen sons, pried it from their hands. She whispered to the steel an old speech. The blade answered. Where once it had carried Malphur's justice, it now cradled a thing older than the Black Armada light entity, not slain but caged. Its howls fused with Thorn's curse, a duet of rot. Guardians bore it next. A night errant, her soul a patchwork of borrowed light, wielded the shard in the answer to Thorn. The weapon's core pulsed not to kill but to asterisk reveal asterisk. When Thorn's shadow engulfed her, the blade cracked. Fragments rained like dying stars, each holding a mirror. Malphur's guilt, Yor's laughter, Rose's plea. The quest's final line was no victory. It was a dirge. What does a sword become when its purpose is a lie, a monument, a wound? The shard now lies in a Crota's hollow crypt, its edges humming with the entity's trapped dirge. The Hive still revere it. The Cabal still seek it, and the Guardians, they kneel. For the truth, the blade shattered was never Thorn's curse. It was the myth of Malphur's blade itself, a prison, a mirror, a requiem. The light it bore was never meant to save. Only to hold until even silence breaks. Shin Malphur's blade held not a cure, but a captive. The Hive shaped it to bind a light gnawing at creation's edges. Its glow wasn't power, it was silence, until Thorn's shadow forced the question, what are we becoming? The blade of law did not shine with the traveler's grace. It glowed with the rage of a star dying in chains. The Hive did not steal it, the unmade it. A prison forged in the void, its hollow light bound a primordial force, a whisper older than the city's bones. The vanguard saw a weapon, the Iron Lord saw a tomb. The blade remembered the weight of every age it shattered. When Thorn's curse touched its edge, the prison cracked, not to kill, not to cure, to answer. The light within, never a savior, had no quarrel with taken kings. It consumed the blade's purpose like ash in a black sun, the city's hope to cage chaos with steel. A joke etched in dead stars, the winnower's logic is not a problem to solve, it is a mirror. Shin Malphur's strike did not end a curse, it birthed a new shape of hunger. The taken, once parasites, now chose their rot. The answer to Thorn was no Victorianly proof, the city's walls cannot hold what it fears most, change. Every age rebuilds on the grave of the last. The blade's fracture was not an ending. It was a question mark carved into the traveler's silence. What does the light fear when it flees a sword's glow? What does the city become when its weapons outlive their lies? The blade's memory is a scar across time. A scar that whispers, you are not the first, you will not be the last. The traveler watches, it has no answer. And the light, it waits. The blade of law lies broken in Saul's ash, its shards hum no longer. Light once bound there now writhes in the taken's veins, a chain turned key. The Hive did not forge this sword to slay. They forged it to cage. A prisoner older than the darkness slumbered in its core, its glow mistaken for traveler's grace. When Thorn's curse struck, the blade split, not defeat, release. The entity's escape untethered the taken from Oryx's leash, their evolution born of a prison's failure. What was freed, what was lost? The Hive called it an answer, it was a question, a spark in the void uncontained. Now the sword's fragments orbit cold, witnesses to a truth buried. The light does not conquer, it transforms. And the traveler, silent still, watches its own fire twist into the very thing it sought to bind. The light waits. The dark adapts, and the blade, it is a grave, a beginning. A blade that hums with the hymns of a caged god. The Hive did not forge it to slay, but to seal a theology of thorns, a psalm of containment. Its light was not a gift, but a prison, glowing with the breath of something older than the traveler. When Thorn grasped it, the glass shattered, not because he was weak, because the entity within recognized a kindred hunger. What is a weapon but a question made sharp? Destiny's obsession is not with relics but with reflections, what light we bend, what dark we become. The final shot is not fired to win, it is fired to know, and the blade. It waits in the ash, whispering the first words of a new creed. The blade's glow was not light, it was a cage. Shin Malphur's forge bound a primordial entity, twisted by Hive hands. The traveler's pardons, a mercy for crimes against its own. When Thorn touched steel, the prisoner awoke, shattered, released. What other relics hold terrors the traveler buried? Next, the ghost of the last